Welcome back to the Fire Emblem Awakening playthrough. Last time, we defeated the wannabe Disney villain Maleficar once and for all, found out that Basilio was still alive and had basically played him for a fool, but we're not out of the woods yet, not by a long shot. It turns out that future Mary Sue is the true villain of this story. She, or rather Grima, has been manipulating everything that's been happening so far to, basically, all to speed her awakening, and now she has. We're about to pick off right from where we left. And, well, things are pretty bad. Yeah, that's a more appropriate use of that voice clip, Lucina. Before, when you said that, it almost sounded like you were disappointed that Basilio was still alive. This is a pretty awesome artwork. I really, really like this, and I'm just putting on 3D now on my screen. Yeah, in 3D this looks pretty insane. Yes. This is the Fell Dragon Grima in the flesh. And apparently, if this is to be believed, Mary Sue's true form. Yeah, that thing is pretty enormous. Yeah, if only we did still have the Fire Emblem. Unfortunately, Maleficar did kinda steal it. And then the Dragon's Table exploded, so obviously the Fire Emblem is... Oh, wait a minute! Mary Sue is perfect and brilliant and everything, so of course she stole it! And it's got the real gemstones in it too. Mary Sue must have made a very, very quick switch there. But yeah, she did steal it once when she was... And for some reason, Grima here looks so much like that flying serpent Colossus from Shadow of the Colossus, it's ridiculous. Like, just, like, compare them. Really, you'll see what I mean. He looks so much like that Colossus. Well, considering how big Grima is, I think he probably is going to catch on that we'll, if we're going anywhere, considering that he's probably as big as this entire continent now. Really? The first Exalt paid tribute on Mount Prism. Where is that?
Of course.
You still haven't answered the question. Where exactly is Mount Prism? Apparently it's over there. Well, that was one spot on the map that hadn't been filled yet. And also, from defeating Maleficar at the Dragon's Table, we can now buy Dragonstone Plus and Beaststone Plus, so there is no reason at all to continue using regular Beast and Dragonstones now. They're pretty much completely worthless at this point, so go ahead and stock up on these if you've got a lot of Targwell and Manikeets. Let's see how many supports we've got. Another Noir and Brady, another Owain Shell, Lauren and Severa, good, I didn't actually unlock that last time. And, sadly, no Basilio and Flavia. So, Basilio and Flavia are counted as Generation 1.5 characters, so they can only support the Avatar and each other. But being Generation 1.5 characters, they can only marry the Avatar, and that's really annoying. When this game first came out, there were a lot of, basically, there was false information that said that Basilio and Flavia could S-support. Turns out that's not possible, and I really, really, really wish it was, because that would have been amazing. Because seriously, I ship these two so much, why can't I pair them? Why, game? Why? Why? As someone's quoted, I think this was from someone on TV Tropes, it would be amazing to see two characters who act like an old married couple actually become one. But, anyway, their stats are actually... Is Basilio better than Vake at this point? Oh, actually, he's equal in skill. Actually, I think he is better than Vake than everything. That's more that I think my Vake has been heavily RNG screwed in this playthrough. When I first played, my Vake had a lot more defense and speed than this, so I think I've got very, very RNG screwed. I might have to use some stat boosters on him, actually, but Anyway, I'm wondering how many supports we can fit in before this next chapter. I'm not entirely sure, because here's Mount Prism. As you can kind of tell from that image, this place was called Mount Rainbow in the Japanese version, but obviously the localizers must have thought that sounded too girly, so cut that out. That was the same deal with the Avatar's Rally Spectrum. That was originally Rainbow Cry. Only 3 supports though, I should have time for them. Let's go for Awain and Shell A. If I remember correctly, this isn't exactly the best support, but I like their S support, so oh well. And yeah, my favourite Awain pairing is Female Morgan, but she doesn't exist here. Significant defense with impressive mobility. Basically, why Cavaliers have always been so useful in the series.
Well...
Didn't boast unrivaled ease of motion back in, Shadow Dragon and New Mystery of the Emblem, where archers, for some strange reason, had the same movement as armor knights. Oh, I hated archers in that game.
Hmm? My sword hand twitches.
And now he's back in ham mode. You know, I'm surprised that I haven't forged a weapon yet. I need to forge him something now.
We're in this together.
This is amazing. Why aren't you beholding?
What?
You know what? Maybe she found one of the rare moments where Kellum wasn't wearing his armor and she put it on, and it turns out that Kellum's armor actually has an invisibility spell on it. And that's the reason why it's never... In fact, that makes a lot of sense. That's my headcanon now. Secretly, Kellum's armor actually has some kind of super invisibility powers, and now that Shell is wearing it, she's invisible. Alternatively, the first suit of armor she ever wore in battle.
Wow.
That is interesting. You know what? I guess Kellum is actually Sully's fastest support, so this would make sense if Kellum was her father. Though in this case, it's more that Kellum most likely died in the bad future and Shell wore his armor and then became invisible.
Have at you! I'll be your shield.
That was a weird voice clip. I don't think that really fit the situation at all. That was interesting, but that gets better in the S support, trust me. This, however, is a much better support, I think.
Huh?
Yeah, you say it like being in the hospital all the time is a good thing. Well, if you're in a mage class, you don't really need weight training.
Huh?
The good old days, like when you were in a horrible future with a zombie apocalypse and everyone was dying.
Yes.
And here's where you find out something interesting about this. This is another reason why I like this pairing. They have a history together.
Yeah.
Are you sure that wasn't her mother's curses?
I see.
Your defense is kind of ridiculous at this point, so that's actually... You don't really need to stop being frail.
No.
Huh.
Yes.
See, I really like these two together. This is probably my second favourite second-gen pairing, aside from Yarn and Nar. And Lauren and Severa's supports are a little weird, but I like it at the end. I think I was trying to say something last time and I got cut off. One thing that the main reason why I did this pairing at first was because I heard that they basically out-tsundere each other in this one, so that's kind of cool. And of course, the Severa is still... You're spending Vake's money again, aren't you?
Any complaints?
Especially when you're using Vake's money. And then Severity at this point is going to say, you know, I wasn't using the Treasury's money and...
Ridiculous. Are you daft?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lawrence apparently does the army's finances.
I've had enough.
And this line's actually really funny for me because the phrase insufferable woman was also used by Hubert, a character from Tales of Graces who looks a lot like Lawrence and acts a lot like him, and also calls his love interest insufferable woman sometimes. So I find that really funny. And, well, if that's all the supports, I might see if I can do, because the enemy levels are getting kind of high at this point, and I actually think I need to reclass Mary Sue soon as well, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do at this point, but I might do some off-camera training, and then I'll see you back here. And we're back. I basically took on every skirmish that was on the map, plus a few more through reeking boxes, and trained up most of the first generation to level 12. Which is the level that we were supposed to be last chapter, so I think that's about right. I also used a few stat boosting items. Now, it's kind of a weird thing with my playstyle. I normally don't like using stat boosting items in Fire Emblem games because, well, it makes me feel like the character's stats don't reflect their natural abilities. It kind of throws off the whole growth rates thing, and it makes them look like they have stats they're not meant to have. That's just how I sort of feel. Generally, I only use stat boosters to compensate for characters who've been RNG screwed, and because of that, I used I used a Speed Wing on Vake's speed, and a Draco Shield on Vake's defense, just because I felt he was getting a bit screwed in those areas. Also, I used a Draco Shield and an Energy Drop on Cordelia, because again, I felt she was getting strength and defense screwed. So I just did a little bit of fixing up there. Now, there are a few more things I want to do before we head into this chapter, and that is some reclasses. And again, it always feels weird to me to reclass during the main story. I generally don't reclass, unless I'm exclusively grinding for skills, because to me, okay, this is just a personal thing, but to me, Fire Emblem characters always look just plain wrong outside of their base classes. It's just a thing with me. But as for Lucina, I feel like she's got everything out of Grandmaster out of Great Lord that she can, so she's going to reclass to Grandmaster for now. Mostly because I just wanted to get Ignis, so I'm going to level her up to level 5, and then get Ignis, and then probably switch her back to Great Lord, just because I just don't like characters not being in their starting classes. But considering that she's Mary Sue's child in this playthrough, she kind of needs Ignis, and it's going to make her even more overpowered. She'll gain the ability to use tomes, but even with a magic asset avatar, that starting magic is not all that good, so might not equip any for the moment. But speaking of equip, you might notice something. Noble Rapier. It says Lords only, and it means it. If you reclass Crom or Lucina outside of Lord classes, they can't use Rapiers anymore, which I find really, really annoying. And speaking of reclassing them outside of Lord classes, I really didn't exactly want to do this, but, Crom is almost maxed out. Then again, it feels kind of weird not to get him to level 20. I'll hold off for now, but Mary Sue, I will reclass her, but I'll reclass her to something that uses the exact same weapon type so I don't lose any ranks there. Well, actually, it's either this or Darkflyer. I could go for Darkflyer, but the best skill out of Darkflyer, Gale Force, is at level 15. And I'll just say this, there is no way I'm getting her to level 15 in a second class before I get to the end of the game, so I'm going to go for, actually, that same thing could be said for Dark Knight. But Dark Knight has the same weapon types. You know what, I'm going to go for Dark Knight. Sadly, this class can't use Dark Magic, but at least it gives them a mount. And I don't have to switch up Marisu's inventory at all, because she'll be able to use the exact same weapon types. Losing a few stats to everything except for HP and defense, but time to start building up some more experience. And yeah, I don't need to switch around her inventory. Again, I kind of want to get Crom to level 20 before I reclass him. Might as well put a second seal in his inventory. I still don't like reclassing Crom, but it is efficient as far as skills go. Anyway, let's head out to Chapter 24. Chapter 24, Title Drop. Funny thing about that, this chapter didn't actually have a title drop in its name in the Japanese version. It was actually just called the Exalt Successor. Oh, actually, one thing about not reclassing Crom that I can point out here. So, firstly, welcome to Rainbow Falls. Rumour has it that Yllis's most elite Pegasus Knights train here. The Divine Dragon's power flows through every blade of grass, and you're about to see it. It looks pretty amazing.
Really?
Now, the thing with Crom that I was mentioning is, you only got to see it for a brief moment, but you'll notice that he had the Fire Emblem on his arm as a shield. Now, remember that we had the Fire Emblem stolen for chapters 22 and 23. During that time, Crom will not have the Falchion on his battle model in battle, and that just, I really like that. It's a really nice touch. Of course we will. This is a Fire Emblem chapter. Yes, unfortunately, the Poser Dragon's armies are gathering. We'll have to fight them no matter where we go, it seems. Even this place isn't sacred. Speaking of this place, this is a pretty amazing looking map. All this mist everywhere, the sound of the waterfall. Just look at that waterfall. That looks amazing. The sky there. Can even see some kind of a forest in the distance. And just how green the grass is here, it just looks so amazing. I mean, they said that the Divine Dragon's power is just flowing through every blade of grass, but this map just looks... It is one of my favourite looking maps in the game. Yeah, alongside... I still think the military is my favourite, but this one looks pretty amazing too. Anyway, we've got some ruins and some forts here, if you'll need to keep an eye on those, and lots of Risen. Now, one thing that you'll probably notice about the Risen in this chapter is all of them are either mounted or flying, so expect a lot of mobility. Because of that, Beast Killers and Worm Slayers are really useful here. Also, you might know that all of the Wyvern Lords on the top part of the map have lances, whereas all the Wyvern Lords on the bottom part of the map have axes. That's going to make fighting them a lot easier for me, actually, so thank you for being so cooperative, enemies. Okay, yeah, so most of the lance users are up the top here, though there are some down the bottom. And we've got a couple of Great Knights and a boss, Risen Chief Great Knight, with some pretty good stats, a Forged Tomahawk and the Lunar skill, so we'll need to watch out for him. Now, the weird thing about this map, though, is, despite most of the enemies here being mounted, you might notice that a lot of them have kinda bad movement ranges, so that seems kinda weird. That's due to these woods here. They slow down mounted units pretty heavily, and because of that, as much as it looks like the enemy army is very mobile, really only the Wyvern Lords are. Everything else just gets completely bogged down, and to me this is actually really fitting, and I'll explain why once we actually start the chapter, but I just want to get preparations out of the way. Now, gonna go ahead and deselect almost everyone that I was grinding for, except for Starl and Sully. They haven't had some action in a while, so let's go ahead and use them. Also, I kind of want to use Maribel here, because I haven't actually used her as a healer for a little while. And I'll go with Brady because I want to get them supports up. I haven't used the Vake and the Cordelia for a while, and I'm going to bring them here. Also, Shursh and Virion. Shursh will be good for her flying mobility, and Virion will be great for using his bows against the enemy Wyvern Riders. As for who else, well, we're going to bring Mary Sue, obviously, because she just newly reclassed. And because Lucina newly reclassed, I'm going to bring her, and I've been using Jerome for a lot of chapters, but I'm going to bring him too and hope to get him some supports up with Shursh and Virion. And this just leaves me with a few more slots. We just got Basilio and Flavia, so I want to go ahead and use them for this chapter. They're going to be pretty useful here, because their starting stats are pretty good. one more character slot here. And let's see, are we forgetting anyone? Oh, right, we are. Because we're bringing the Vake and the Cordelia, it's only fitting that we bring... Where is she? Where is the Severa? There she is. The hammer's also useful here against the Great Knights. So as for how we're going to split this up, I mentioned that most of the lance-using Wyvern Riders are up the top part of the map, and most of the axe-using ones are at the bottom part of the map. So our sword users... Actually, no. Our axe users should go more towards the top, while our... while our sword users should go more towards the bottom. But what I like doing here is, I like putting Basilio and Flavia kind of in the middle. Where is Mary Sue? Yeah, you're too far up there. Also, I want Lucina and Jerome down the bottom, and I want the Vake and the Cordelia to be up the top. Mostly because there is... I know there's a Bow Knight down there, but many of the enemies here aren't exactly the best for... particularly those Axe Wyvern Riders, not so good for the Cordelia. And the Vake with his axe is going to be really helpful against the Lance Wyvern Riders. Next we move with the Severa. And move Sully over here because she has slightly more movement. Gotta watch out for those Valkyries though. They're always kind of annoying with their magic attacks. Got a good position there, and I think we're pretty much good to go here. So let's begin the map. They're pretty much everywhere now. The poser dragon Grima is sending his armies out all over the continent to destroy everything. But we won't let them defile this place. Let's destroy them all. This is a route mission after all. First though, we're going to save. Also, I like how we're back to having Destiny as our map theme. Having a heroic map theme again when we're, you know, finally going towards the final battle, but there is still hope. I really like that. It sounds pretty awesome. Now, what's not awesome is Cordelia getting shot by that guy. And what's also not awesome is that Valkyrie, because the Vake does not like that Valkyrie. What I'm actually going to do from the start is... I think the best thing we can do at this point is to immediately nuke this Valkyrie right now. Now, is there a second Valkyrie in range? Kastal can handle pretty much everything except Valkyries. And if he gets doubled by them, which he usually does, that's really, really bad. So, Beast Killer to him. Also, I've noticed that I've seen... See, look at this, look at this. Yeah, it's really, really bad when he gets doubled by Valkyries. That hurts a lot. But gonna go for the Beast Killer for the one-shot here. Also, amazing battle background. And amazing battle music. And it only lasted for a few seconds. Well, good thing that Valkyrie is down. Next... See, the Severa is usually fine on her own because her stats are kind of ridiculous compared to her parents. That's just a bit of an annoying thing about, the way that second generation... Well, not really annoying, but the way first generation characters work in this game is the second generation characters usually outclass them eventually. And that does get sort of irritating. Well, for people who actually like using the first generation characters too, because, yeah, I mean, people like Vake are awesome. I've also restocked his inventory with a lot of new axes, including a Brave Axe, because it seems like Vake sometimes doesn't double these enemies, so I equipped a Brave Axe just for emergencies. Come on, Cordelia, you can dual strike more than that. You've got a 75% chance of it. Really? Really? 2 75s? Well, that's annoying. Now, there is a Valkyrie there. Fortunately, I don't really have the power to take it out. Yeah, I can't double it or anything, so I'm going to have to contend with whacking this guy with a hammer. Basilio still takes quite a lot of damage, but he's got a massive amount of HP, so he's usually fairly safe.
There's more where that came from.
You said it. But I might send Mary Sue down to support them. mostly for that stupid Valkyrie there. So yeah, there are a lot of woods in this map, and of course the woods give you increased evasion, and that applies to the non-flying enemies too, so you'll want to just be a little careful that they don't just start dodging all of your attacks, because that gets really annoying. I have said annoying quite a lot in this chapter. But yeah, Shursh is actually a bit safe down here because that Bow Knight is going to get slowed down by the woods. Now, what I was saying before about how I like the way the woods here work is the woods are slowing down these Risen that are attacking Naga's sacred territory. It's almost like the map itself is working against the enemy army. And to me, that's perfectly fitting. The Risen are invading a place that is completely sacred, a place they should not be in. It only makes sense that the map itself is basically slowing them down, and Valkyrie, that other Valkyrie, again, really slow. So yeah, only makes sense that the map itself is basically working against them, because what they're doing is sort of an affront to nature. And so this very area is fighting back. I just kind of like the symbolism there. Not to say this map is a total cakewalk. The enemies here are tough, and there are going to be reinforcements eventually, and unlike a lot of the other maps, you don't get warned about these reinforcements at all, so... Okay, none of those guys are in range of Jerome, so I can pretty much safely use my physics stuff on Basilio here. Yeah, so unlike a lot of other maps at this point in the game, you don't get warned about the reinforcements here at all. So, and Dual Support Plus. This is one of my favorite female exclusive skills. It basically what? Did that guy seriously use an elixir? I've never seen him do that before. I guess because in most of my practice runs, Cordelia's always dual struck on him, but still. Well, that's weird. Now, of course, the sword one attacks the Vake. Oh yeah, Vake can't one-shot the lance user, but he immediately crits and kills the sword user. That's logical. And the Bow Knight comes and attacks us with a sword. That is actually really good. And he's got an even higher chance of being critical, but he didn't get the crit. Cordelia, what are you doing? Your dual strike rate is approaching like 70%. What are you doing? Okay. Thank you for the dual guard there, because that could have been bad. Awkward camera angle.
That's it.
And I thought Flamethrower would be not very effective on dragon types.
Let's end this.
Okay, this should be fine. Like I've said, Stahl is pretty much fine with most of these enemies, except for the... I should have maybe switched the Wormslayer over to Sully for dual strikes. Yeah, except for the Valkyries. They're really, really bad news for him.
You alright?
Dual guards always look weird with horses. It's like one horse just shoves itself through the other horse. And yeah, you'll see just how much these enemies are getting slowed down by the forest terrain. And of course, the rally enemies move last. I think that's basically in the enemy's AI code, always move rally enemies last. It works for everything except rally movements. It's not very, very good for rally. Not very, very good, really. Not very good for rally movement users. Just wondering how many enemies the Vake will get hit by if he does that. Definitely going to need to heal him. Don't want to rally because I give up my attack for the turn, and this here is why I equipped the Severa with the Wormslayer. Because Wormslayers are really, really useful here, and I might have to use Fortify. Good thing those staves are in somewhat plentiful supply at this point in the game compared to earlier on. Yeah, this is not our woods, but I'm gonna have to go here anyway.
My turn.
This Tomahawk, I bought it off of a random map merchant, actually. And gaining speed's good. For some reason, Vake's been getting speed screwed quite a lot lately. And yeah, need to get rid of you now. Let's see. You're both relatively equal. Actually, probably should have used a sword, just so that those Wyvern Lords would have higher hit. Wait a minute, yeah, they all have lances, actually, so that'd be worse using a sword. And you're getting speed too, seems like everyone is. Now, again, I'm definitely going to have to use the Fortify Staff soon. Let's see. Well, I could go for cutting you down with the sword rather than magic.
Here's how it's done. Thanks.
I probably should make good use out of Crom's Noble Rapier, because he won't be able to use it if he reclasses. That there is not a woods tile, which is really annoying. But Basilio does double that guy. Let's just see how many enemies that he'd been in range of if he goes there. Quite a few of them. Yeah, that's a Lance Paladin. Definitely better to attack with Basilio here. Though I will actually need a Dual Strike to finish him off. Flavio, I hope you heard that.
Here I come.
And you did.
Thanks.
That, and I really want to see the supports between these two. And yeah, that's that elixir that stupid paladin drank a use of earlier. Although, yeah, if we're going to get that Fortify Staff in there, I'm gonna have to eliminate some of those Wyvern Lords. Although I can already reach everyone from here, because Muriel's staff range is... Not Muriel, Maribel's staff range is just ridiculous. I mean, I bet Muriel's staff range will also be ridiculous, but, yeah, let's see. As you can probably tell here, I'm going for... Oh, that guy. Yeah, that kind of ruins my plan a little bit. Because I do not want Shursh to get hit by him. But I don't want him to hit anyone who's in potential danger of dying, such as... Not sure if Basilio can survive 3 hits from any Wyvern enemies. I like to have Shursh and Jerome attack next to each other so that Jerome's getting support points with both her and with Lucina at the same time for, you know, efficiency purposes. But at the moment, I might have to split them up. Or not, because I can't actually one-round you. Well, I'm gonna have to go for Jerome here.
Be ready. Take this.
There we go. Keeping Jerome in the lead, because if I switch over to a non-flyer, suddenly this pair's movement's going to be completely ruined, and a Thoron Tome's pretty nice. Okay, if I switch over to Virion, he's going to get attacked by a ton of Wyvern Lords. Probably better I use the Superior Axe here, except I'll switch Virion over to... It is good to get him more sword experience, though, but in the interest of getting rid of the Wyvern Riders quicker... Like that!
Thank you.
And that takes some of the pressure off Basilio, and of Maribel as well. Yeah, see how big the, how big a gap that left in the enemy's total range. Now... Don't want to go too far, but I do want to have Maribel moving ahead, because if she's too far behind when the reinforcements spawn, that is going to be bad. You know, something that I never realized, does Armor's Thrift work on staves? I don't think it does. In fact, I'm pretty sure it doesn't, but it would be kind of cool if it did. Wow, you actually dodged Mary Sue. And Crom is now maxed out on level. Had a feeling you'd do that. Sword. And it still missed. I really don't like wasting my superior axe on sword users though, because it has very few uses.
Victory.
And with that, Furion needs to level up now. My practice run Shush never got good level ups in this chapter either. Now, of course, you're going for the can't counterattack. Dual Guard would have been good, that would have given support points. Hello, Mr. Completely Ineffectual Tomahawk user. Hello, Mr. Complete and Utter Moron. Okay, that soul was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. Now, she'll probably survive this turn, actually. As she's literally teabagging that wyvern corpse. She is. She's just standing over it, just taunting it. And this is the kind of thing that I like using my superior axe on. And Virion doing that saves a use of it. Shush is definitely getting a lot of glory here. So quite a lot of the enemies are gone now, it's only 3 turns in. Reinforcements are going to start spawning soon, but it's definitely, it's very, very possible to end this chapter before the reinforcements even start spawning. I've actually done it, I'm pretty sure I did it at least once in practice. Gonna have to use the Brave Bow for that, but kind of want Virion to get some experience. So yeah, a few times I've actually ended this chapter before the reinforcements started spawning. It's definitely possible. And in fact, with Gale Force, it's really, really possible. Gaining strength is alright. And he just got this exact same level up as his waifu there. That's funny, Jerome had a totally useless, well, to him, Arcfire Tome in his inventory last chapter, and now he has a totally useless to him Thoron Tome in his inventory. And Falchon's, as always, effective against wyverns, which can help out a lot in this chapter. And hey, this is a weapon that's useful to him. In fact, it was perfect that Jerome got that guy, because I always wanted him to have a Tomahawk. Very nice. Okay, Sully's still a level behind, so she's going to run up and possibly... Yeah, Starl and Sully have a habit of sharing their weapons. That's kind of a benefit of having 2 people in similar classes paired up. You can trade weapons between each other and effectively have double the inventory space. And Sully continues to completely make Starl look like a useless thing. Whatever. That sounded a lot better in my head. I do want Flavia to get some more experience here, but Basilio's almost leveled up, so I might as well let him have this one.
An easy way.
And boom! You've probably heard that Basilio clip from earlier in the game when he spoke in a few cutscenes. And plus 2 HP! Yeah, Basilio's got an HP growth that exceeds 100%, so he has a chance of gaining plus 2 HP on level ups instead of plus 1. And yeah, that is just ridiculous. Now I could set up a mother-daughter bonding moment by doing this. And that's also perfect! Finally activating Soul where it's useful. Seems like Soul is... Yeah, well that's amazing. Seems like Soul is more useful when you're solo, because you get hit more. You know, so... kind of funny, when you're paired up, you almost never get hit, so Soul is barely of any use, because you don't need it, because you never get hit. And speaking of barely any use, this guy's armor is barely of any use, considering, definitely barely of any use. Ouch, that is overkill. Yeah, one of the main flaws of Great Knights is they're weak to both beast-killing and armor-killing weapons. Definitely a very, very major flaw. And I'm going to have to attack with Mary Sue here, because she has no flaws.
I've got your back.
Though her defense has been looking a little weak lately. And yeah, because she's effectively, like, much higher level than her spear, finally, that's, it's about time we had a weapon like that. Okay. Is it worth using a Fortify here? I actually don't think it is. I do have to be careful of Maribel. If I switch over to... You know what? Because reinforcements are coming soon and Maribel is incredibly fragile, I'm actually going to switch over to Brady here. And it was a good thing I did, because if I didn't do that, I would have easily lost here. So, yeah, that was perfectly timed. Not sure if Maribel was in range of those wyverns, but if she was, yeah, that would have been... And, yeah, that's annoying. Virion stuck with a bow equipped against enemy physical... Well, this isn't entirely a physical range user, but... Okay, Virion needs healing soon, unless I get a dual guard here. And I wasn't psychically predicting. So, reinforcements have started spawning from ahead. They'll now start spawning from behind, so you need to watch out for that. Now, speaking of things we need to watch out for... Superior Axe is running low on uses. I do have this, though. That's better save for emergencies, when I really, really, really need to one-round something. Speaking of better save for emergencies, unequipping that brave bow...
Rest in pieces.
And the whole weapon decision was a moot point anyway, because I would have got a critical in one shot. Church has got a lot of low percent criticals in this run, I've realised. That's actually pretty cool. Though, overall, Church does tend to be one of my better... Okay, so Batarang versus, yeah, the Tomahawk is a lot stronger. In fact, I might as well forge that Tomahawk into, like, Batarang Mark II or something.
Seize the chance. Forget about me.
Thank you! Yeah, I was about to complain about you not dual striking there. And with that, okay, okay, 4 enemies left. There's still one wyvern guy there. Who wants to take it? Again, I generally consider second-generation character levels to be, like, overall higher than... I prioritize getting first-generation characters' experience because the second-generation characters had such a head start in terms of stats. Okay. I really want Cordelia to take this, but I'm... Actually, I could just go for some very, very quick damage. Or then I wouldn't be able to. Yeah, I'll just go for the quick damage. Or I'll rally. That rally might be useful. And then go for this and hope it works. Yes, he is. And Teach Watching made it so that Cordelia could do an awesome hit like that.
I must prevail.
That sounds a lot like a... I know there's a character in something who says we must prevail in some epic dramatic way. Finally, Cordelia's actually starting to look good in terms of stats. I don't know what's happened. She was really good in my first playthrough, but she's being a little bit inconsistent here. Now, there are going to be reinforcements spawning from behind, so I like leaving a couple of people to deal with them in the rear. I think Flavia should kind of be able to do that. And, yeah, the Severa needs to be physic now. And I'd probably rather Mary Sue advance forward. So yeah, more wyverns, more stuff, and enemies starting to come from behind.
Shall we mop up?
Oh yeah, of course, Severa gets caught with that hand axe equipped so that she does barely anything to this guy.
Out of my sight.
But at least her mother can pick up the slack. That was a...
Glory hog.
That was a one-shot? Really? Okay, one-shotting a Great Knight without any pair-up bonuses is pretty amazing. Like with a non-armor killing weapon.
Focus.
So if there was any way to break my hand axe, it'd be that. Stupid coward. Ow. I think that's the first time Shush has been hit all map, actually. I was about to say second time Shush has been hit, but seems Virion had other ideas. Yeah, you know, I feel really bad for all those horses that we're kind of killing from the massive amounts of mounted risen. I don't feel bad for the wyverns, though, because they deserve it. Me and my post-traumatic stress disorder from Heroes of Light and Shadow wyverns. Trust me, you will fear them as much as I do if you play that game. They are terrifying there. Really terrifying, especially on Lunatic mode, where they have 1 to 2 range breath, although there you can actually bait them into attacking bow users. In fact, the very existence of wyverns makes bow users a lot better than they'd normally be in that game. Maths games in general have some of... I mean, bow users are pretty bad in Maths games overall. Okay, 13, you're still 12, but you're healing. Yeah, that will almost definitely finish him off. And he has Swordbreaker, so if Crom Dual Strikes, that might actually miss. Here's our first instance of a Swordbreaker Wyvern Lord in this enemy Wyvern Lord, I think. Although I think we've seen a few more of them. Basically, the annoying thing about them is Worm Slayers are swords and thus have massively lowered accuracy against them. So, actually, might not be a good idea to attack with the Severa there, as much as she needs experience. I'm going to have to go with Mary Sue after all.
Stay focused.
Even though Crom, again, on the Dual Strike may miss because of that Swordbreaker. And he didn't, okay. And suddenly leaping over there to block that spear. And first level in a new class. And a very good first level at that. Still having Flavia on rear duty here, even though most of the reinforcements seem to be coming from the front areas. Very soon, these guys are all going to rush at us, and that's when I stand a very good chance of ending this chapter early, which I don't want to do because I want to get as much experience out of the reinforcements as possible. Yeah, that's apparently not a woods, but that is. The tile has to... It seems like the tile has to have at least 3 trees on it for it to count as a woods tile. Now, thankfully, I'm pretty sure there are no Bow Knight reinforcements here, so I can feel kind of safe about moving Cordelia and Shush around this area. Speaking of Shush, now, at one point I actually did cover one of these forts, and for that I'm worried that maybe a Bow Knight did come out of there and I just didn't realise. And now I actually don't want Shush to get hit again, so I'm going to equip that Superior Axe. And Virion, do you have a... No, you don't, but Jerome does, so I actually want to do this. Just because I'm a little worried about that HP there. Okay, Paladin, not a Bow Knight, but that is a lot of reinforcements. Okay, thankfully you're an axe user, so Flavia has a better chance of dodging you. Thank you, and it would have been better if I'd equipped the hammer. I need more hand axes for Shush. Not Shush, why did I call her Shush? Severa. Maybe, in fact I need more hand axes for Shush as well, but yet another case of wasting my superior axe on a sword user. That's the thing with ambush spawning reinforcements, you often can't tell what weapon they're going to have equipped until it's already too late. And yeah, those guys are moving now. And yeah, this is about the point where it's very easy to end this chapter early, And I kind of don't want to do that because experience. Nice, tasty experience. And you can't reach from there. Do have to be careful if I'm using Virion, though. I'm going to have to heal him from all the way across the map, and that might require me to expose Maribel for a Fortify Staff usage. These guys are going to be stalled for at least one more turn, though, thanks to... Well, it's basically Naga's power working for us. She's preventing the Risen from entering her sacred grounds. That guy's got a sword. I had a feeling at least one of them would. At least one of them would. I don't think even rally movement will be enough to get most of these people through there, so... Basilio and Flavia are going to have to take on these guys alone. Not that they're not capable of that thing, of course they are. Speaking of which, a lot of people consider Basilio and Flavia to be the closest thing to a Gateau archetype in this... archetype, I think it's pronounced. Archetype in this game. I guess that does make sense, but I still don't think they're quite as strong as Gateau archetype characters are really meant to be. And you don't have
You can do this.
Swordbreaker. For some reason, Sully is helping you.
Just getting started.
And Soul is amazingly useful.
Looking for me?
Nice one, Sully.
That was mine.
Severa doesn't think so, but she does. She does deep down. She just doesn't like to admit it because she is tsundere. Yeah, careful of these guys' ranges. Huh. Still gotta be careful of these reinforcements. And I'm actually going here just for the supports. I don't want to waste that Tomahawk. I'm not exactly going to bank on a chance like that, so I'm going to go with this then. I don't want to waste that Tomahawk because I do plan on forging it after this chapter, probably. Depending on how much it costs, I do want to save some money for reeking boxes, because I might need some of those eventually. The spot pass paralogs that I'm going to unlock after I get to the final chapter of the main game, they kind of require everyone to be level 20, and so I'm going to need to grind my first generation characters a little bit for that. Do I do that or do I not? I don't think it's quite safe yet. But I think the Severa is safe over there. I don't want those to be famous last words. Was that really the person I should have healed? Hope it was. And yet more reinforcements. From everywhere this time. It's always a general rule of thumb in a Fire Emblem game that the moment that you see reinforcements appear from every possible reinforcement point, you know that's the final wave of them. That's usually how it tends to work. Just hope Mary Sue can survive this turn. I said survive this turn!
You're finished.
Well, she's angry now, 3% critical. And it's kind of interesting, the Avatar always uses generic, oh, this could be bad, actually. Oh, let's just hope that second Wyvern Rider can't kill her.
I'm right here.
And well, this Wyvern Rider's a complete idiot.
Allow me.
Thanks for saving use of that Volon Axe, though.
That was mine.
And I just lost my train of thought. I forgot what I was saying before the Severa started getting hit. Something about reinforcements spawning from everywhere, usually indicating that that's the last wave of reinforcements for the chapter. And that was the last use of that axe, because otherwise she would have doubled. Well, since that was the last wave of reinforcements for the chapter, that means... You both have swords. That means that I can safely just take down the boss without having to worry about prematurely ending things. Oh yeah, the spot pass paralogs, that's what I was talking about. I consider some of the characters you recruit there to be more like the Goto archetypes of this game. Wow, that's impressive. Her, good level up quote is saying that she can do even better. That's actually pretty cool. Oh, you don't have Swordbreaker, okay. Okay, let's try Tomahawking you.
I'll keep you safe. Have another. Face me.
This is a part of the song I really like. 2 HP, huh? Though I am going to need to heal the Severa after this. But I can basically Worm Slayer this guy. Or I can just restore 1 HP with Soul. Sometimes every little bit of HP counts. I just realized that if that 99% had missed, she might have died there. She's getting very good level ups, though. And being Sundera about it. A in Swords, I kind of want her to get her Axe rank up, though. Again, I just always considered it appropriate for Severa to be an Axe hero. I could attempt to have Brady just annihilate this boss. It's definitely possible. Oh yeah, I updated Maribel's tome as well. She has a higher magic rank. She should be using better stuff. I need to heal Severa now, but I would really like to get Virion some more experience. Let's just attempt to take this guy out then. Because again, I want Virion to get more experience, but yeah, he is kind of frail, so when he gets hit a few times, it's often very hard for him to do that.
Don't fight my battles.
Well, that's kind of funny because in some of Jerome's other quotes, he mentions how, he mentions some teamwork-related stuff, so a bit weird that he's now... He kind of flip-flops between being really, really I-work-alone angsty and then being actually teamwork-y. That's totally a word. You know, I could actually have Maribel just physic everyone. And once again, I have to use the Brave Bow, or I could just go for the Killer Bow and bank on Shur's dual striking. I'm this late into the chapter, I don't want to risk it.
Where to begin? Forgetting someone.
And she dual struck anyway, of course she would. At least that saves one use of the Brave Bow, and every use saved on a Brave weapon is a use well saved. Okay then. Yeah, either you just have a Silver Lance. That is going to annihilate you.
Are you ready?
It's funny.
Now I'm angry.
And Crom's angry. The Avatar in Awakening is generally associated with thunder magic because, well, I mean, that's the kind they usually use in cutscenes and the kind they generally use in Smash Brothers. But, seems like in my playthrough, Mary Sue's generally been more associated with fire. In some ways, it does kind of make sense. You know, flame wars, burning threats to ships, the whole kill it with fire thing. That reaches Virion, right? Okay, it does. Good. Let us use Fortirity once again. I don't know why I used to call it Fortirity when I was younger, but it was just another one of those things that I pronounce weirdly. And yeah, that's the last wave of reinforcements. And you... Actually, you're not really a coward, because you're attacking someone who can counterattack. As you can see, though, the reason they're getting smarter, or at least it's just Grima controlling them,
Stay calm.
really shows just how bad this would have got in the Bad Future timeline.
My teeth just got tenure.
The Risen
Have another.
were intelligent enough to actually... Oh, that's annoying. to actually make specific strikes on places and target specific people and areas. Yeah, that sounds disturbing. Speaking of disturbing, 1% critical, I mean not 1% critical, 1 HP Ignis, yeah, that's overkill. To a disturbing degree. And I believe that just leaves the boss and... Okay, who's not 13? You don't count because you're higher level than you actually are. You two don't exactly count because we just got you, so you'd have to be leveling up a lot to get to 13. Brady is not actually 13 yet, but he probably will be with 1 heal, so that's fine. You're 13. You're 13. I'd say this chapter's been pretty productive, actually. Actually, let's try and have Lucina attack. I haven't really had her be the main unit pair up for this entire chapter.
I say when it ends.
And yeah, Ether works in all classes with all weapon types, so even with magic in a class like this.
I challenge my fate.
And yeah, Lucina is ridiculous, no matter what class she's in.
Good.
Though she does have kind of a weird way of holding the falchion in Grandmaster. Now, like I was saying, I need to heal once with Brady so that he'll hopefully get up to
Nice.
13. It's not the end of the world if he doesn't, but hey, he did. That's good. Getting speed is useful. And look at his luck stat. That's getting insane. I'd say the only person who can really, who'd probably ever rival a, Maribel's family as far as high luck stats is a Morgan that's the child of Anna. Yeah, their luck would, and an avatar with a luck asset. That would be insane. You know what? Take the Cordelia. That will hopefully give you a higher hit rate. And let's smash this guy and be done with it.
Focus. I've had enough.
The Tsundere has had enough. It is the end for you. We are hearing more of this boss music, though. And it's a shame that the Valadar boss theme, we couldn't just leave that on after he died, because the music cut out for him. But, boss down. And I just realized I missed all the event tiles in that chapter, but they are a little annoying to get to. Vuron and Church were the heroes, and the chapter is over. Now, it's time to head to a place that's apparently just referred to as the Table down there, so presumably this is the Naga counterpart of the Dragon's Table.
Right.
But Crom calls it the Altar. Now, I wonder if this was just a problem with find and replaces in the script. Perhaps this place should have just been called the Altar. And it was just a case of they went through all the place names with a find and replace of altar to table, and it resulted in this place having a kind of weird name. But as we know before, whoever is to perform the awakening ritual has to brave Naga's fire. Can Crom survive? Well, I mean, he's the main character, so he probably will. One of the few times where Lucina refers to Lyssa as her aunt directly. We have all 5 gemstones. Now it's time to say the overdramatic speech. I still like to think that the Exalted Blood actually came from Salif from Fire Emblem 4. And here's something really, really, really interesting to longtime fans of the series. This is a really big deal. I'll talk about it just after these next few lines.
Father!
Be welcome, Awakener.
Of course, Crom was deemed worthy, but that's not the real big deal of this scene. This is Naga. We're actually seeing her in person. A lot of people who started with Awakening won't realize this, but this is a really, really, really big deal to longtime fans of the series. Naga has been a recurring deity throughout the games, well, mostly just in Marth's games, and in Sigurd and Salif's games, Fire Emblem 4. Naga was directly part of the backstory there, but we never actually saw them in person. Naga was also vaguely alluded to in Path of Radiance by a certain character's name, Kurth Naga, having Naga in it. But that's really the extent it went there. But here's the thing, we never saw Naga physically until now, and the really big deal about that is, Naga's gender until now was always ambiguous. Naga was referred to as male in Marth's games, but female in Fire Emblem 4. Again, Naga was considered a deity back then, so maybe normal rules of gender don't exactly apply to them. But in this game, finally we have confirmation that Naga is definitely female. Naga is also the parent of Tiki. I don't think they really mention that much in this game, but yeah. So, now that Naga herself has appeared before us, she'll give us the power to defeat Grima. The power of a god?
Yes.
Or not exactly.
Huh?
Naga is the strongest of the divine dragons,
Indeed.
but she isn't a creator deity. Even though she is basically worshipped as one in the Fire Emblem universe. Libra might have to rewrite a lot of his sermons after seeing this. However, Grima isn't exactly a god either. He surely seems like one with how powerful he is, but he's just a really, really, really strong dragon. Again, to regular humans they seem like gods, but they're not exactly gods.
Still.
And that's significant because neither of them has the power to destroy each other utterly. This actually gets a little weird in DLC chapters where there's something of a plot hole here, but I'll talk about that later.
Heed me.
Naga can use her blessing to draw forth the Falchion's true might. I think I've mentioned this before, but the Falchion was originally made from Naga's fang. Now, the thing here is, I can finally talk about the reason why I think that Lucina's Falchion is stronger than Chrom's Falchion, despite being the exact same sword. I used to say that was unfair before. I was actually kind of hiding it. I did know about this, and this is the one thing that could explain it. It's likely that in the bad future, Lucina performed a partial awakening ritual. She didn't manage to get all of the gemstones, so she couldn't do a full awakening, but Naga was at least able to restore some of the Falchion's power, and that's why her version is a bit stronger than Chrom's and can heal her. And yeah, mentioning the whole Dragon's Fang thing. Also, the Falchion looks totally different to how it does in Marth's games, but it is in fact the same sword. You can tell this in Smash Bros, where both Marth and Lucina use it, but they look totally different. Apparently, they did this weird hand wave where they say the Falchion can change shape over the years to suit its wielder. Sounds a bit strange, but, I mean, it is a mythical weapon. Having the strength equal to Naga, that still wouldn't mean Chrom could destroy Grima for good.
Yes.
He'll have to be put to sleep, just like our ancestors did 1,000 years ago. Like what usually happens to super all-powerful evil deity-like antagonists. But, of course, we're gonna have to fight him first. And hey, bind, that refers to things like the binding blade and binding shield, possibly. Kind of a common thing, although it's irregularly translated as seal sometimes. But there is a power that could destroy Grima for good. His own?
I see.
So apparently, in order to fully be rid of Grima, he has to commit suicide, according to My Immortal.
Yes.
And obviously he wouldn't do that of his own volition.
Listen.
Heed me.
Oh yeah, of course he'd be in a giant ominous volcano. And with that, we get the Exalted Falchion. remember how I said a long time ago that Chrom kind of drops off in usefulness in the mid-game, but he gets better in the late game? This is why. The Falchion is now a lot stronger. It's in fact even stronger than Lucina's version. Not only that, but it also gets an effectiveness bonus against Grima himself. So Chrom is now a lot more powerful. And with that, that ends the chapter. Next time we'll be heading towards the evil Volcano of Ominousness to fight the Fell Dragon Grima.